In the quiet suburbs of Portland, Oregon, a 79-year-old man named Walter Jenkins sat on a weathered bench every afternoon. He'd been coming to this spot beneath a giant maple tree for over 50 years. First with his wife Eleanor, and now alone. Walter was a Korean War veteran and a retired history teacher, a man of quiet dignity. But these days, he felt like a ghost in his own town. Young families rushed past, absorbed in their own worlds. Neighbors offered quick waves but never stopped to talk. His son, living 3 states away, would call once a month. The conversation always ended the same way. "You doing okay, Dad?" Walter would reply, "Just fine," before hanging up and staring at the silent phone. He yearned for real conversation, the kind where someone truly listened. He had so many stories to tell about teaching during the civil rights era, about the hope he felt holding Eleanor's hand the night Obama was elected. But in a world obsessed with what's next, who had time for an old man's memories, then, one rainy afternoon, a young boy, maybe 10 years old, sat at the far end of the bench. He was soaked, his backpack dripping, his eyes red. Walter didn't pry. He simply opened his umbrella and extended it. "Rough day?" he asked gently. The boy nodded. "Got suspended. I disrespected the principal for asking why we Dante learn about Native American history." A faint smile touched Walter's lips. "I taught history for 38 years, he said. "You weren't wrong to ask." They talked for an hour. The boy's name was Mateo. His mom worked 2 jobs, and he loved drawing comics about overlooked historical heroes. "You ever feel like no one sees you?" Mateo asked, his voice small. "Every day," Walter admitted. "But that doesn't mean you're invisible." The next day, Mateo returned with his sketchbook. He showed Walter a new comic strip titled Mr. W. the History Keeper. It depicted an old man teaching children under a tree with stars forming from his words. Walter's eyes welled up. "You made me a hero," he asked, his voice thick with emotion. Mateo replied simply, "You are one." Word spread. Soon, more kids started stopping by after school. They brought questions, drawings, and sometimes just a quiet presence. Walter didn't lecture. He told stories about the Montgomery bus boycott, about Japanese internment camps, and about how democracy thrives when ordinary people find their voice. One girl asked, "Why do you still care, Mr. Jenkins?" After seeing so much bad stuff, he looked at the children gathered around him. "Because I've also seen people rise," he answered. Hope isn't naive, it's necessary. A local reporter caught wind of the history bench and wrote an article. Overnight, Walter became a local legend. But then, a new challenge arose. A developer planned to cut down the old maple tree to build luxury condos. At the city council meeting, the developer dismissed it as just a tree, a casualty of progress. Walter stood up slowly, leaning on his cane. The room fell silent. "My wife and I planted that tree in 1967, he began, his voice steady and clear. "We did it the day after Martin Luther King said, 'We are not makers of history, we are made by history.' This tree's roots hold more than soil, they hold memory. And if we forget who we are, how will our children know who to become?" He didn't shout, he just spoke his truth. The council voted 6-1 to save the tree. Today, the bench has a small plaque, the Walter Jenkins History Bench, where the past grows into the future. Every Tuesday, kids gather for Story Hour. Walter teaches them about courage, justice, and the enduring power of hope. His son calls more often now. Just last week he said, "Dad, my kids saw your article. They want to visit. They want to meet the hero." Walter chuckled. "Tell them I'm just a man who believes stories matter." In a world that's always rushing forward, the quiet wisdom of our elders isn't outdated, it's essential. Your life, your service, your memories are not relics. They are roots. And a nation that forgets its roots cannot grow strong. So speak up, even if your voice shakes. Sit on your bench. Tell your story, because the future is listening, even when you think no one is home. Thanks for watching.